Hello guys, it's WezTZK and today I'm going to be reviewing Sker, a COD Zombies spin-off game that has taken the zombies community by storm. All the big zombies YouTubers talk about this game, many people even call it the COD Zombies killer, but how true is that? In today's detailed review, I'll be discussing the good and the bad, and why Sker is mostly loved by the community. So how does Sker actually work? Well, basically it's just like COD Zombies. You start off with only a pistol, build up your arsenal of weapons, get perks, pack a punch. You basically do the same thing as COD Zombies, but except it's more objective heavy. You are required to complete objectives to progress through the map, and at the end of the map there is a boss fight which you must complete. And after that you can either choose to exfil or you can stay on to get as high of a round as you can. So unlike COD Zombies, it is an objective heavy game which you need to complete objectives to progress through the map. And so you may be wondering, what features are there in Sker that makes it so similar? Well, just like COD Zombies, you have 5 perks. You got Juggernog, which is basically Elixir of Life, Electric Cherry, which is basically Shock and Load, Stallion Juice, which is basically Stamina Up, Swift Death is Double Tap, Fast Hands is Speed Cola, Quick Revive is in the game as well, but you only purchase it after you go down, and it can only be purchased once at a time. There is an element of Who's Who as well, like when you go down you actually go into like Afterlife mode and you have to get to a pod and heal yourself. So you could say there's a little bit of Who's Who as well, but you don't really need to buy Who's Who, it's just there in the game. And just like World at War Zombies, you got 4 maps: Cursed Lands of Lavenlock, the Ashes of Sker Hotel, Sewers of the Dead, and the Deadly Lovers Fortress. In the game there's even a miracle system which allows the player to choose certain abilities such as increased weapon damage, melee damage, resistance, and it basically resets each game, so you don't get it as like a permanent unlock. And just like Zombies, the game has power-ups as well, such as triple points, which is actually better than double points, I'm not gonna lie. You got instant death, which is just a renamed version of insta-kill, and it even has some unique ones like half off, which basically gives you 50% off everything. You could say it's a bit like Fire Sale, but except it's more than just the mystery box. And you've even got infinite ammo as well from Infinite Warfare Zombies, so there is quite a few drops you can get. Also, instead of wall buys, you have displays around the map advertising different types of weapons. They range from anything from pistols to assault rifles, even crossbows, and they are a little bit expensive, but they do look cool. And just like COD Zombies, each map has its own unique wonder weapon, ranging from melee weapons to a firearm, and you can also use them to complete objectives in the map. And speaking of that, each map is objective based, which means you do have to escort, protect and fuel areas, and this is where the wonder weapons come in as well, because you do need them to complete certain objectives, such as the Sker Hotel with the Dark objective. And like I mentioned earlier, at the end of every map, when you complete all the objectives, you will fight a final boss, which you can then choose to exfil or keep playing to get as high of a round as you can. The Pack-a-Punch machine even returns with 5 tiers, which is more than Cold War's version of 3 tiers. It does cost 15,000 more each, and you can instantly pack a punch as well, which means you don't have to wait for it to pop out the machine. The mystery box even returns as a dog called Lucky, which gives weapons. Again, you don't have to wait for it, it just instantly pops out of thin air, which is quite nice. And you even got refill machines just like Cold War, where you can refill your ammo, but it also gets more expensive depending on what Pack-a-Punch tier you have. There's even trail events around the map where you have to shoot machines, prevent bosses from spawning. Failing that, the enemies will be enraged and bosses will spawn, but they are easy to kill. And in terms of healing in the game, you do drink potions, which is limited to 1 every 20 seconds. There is a cooldown on it, but you do self-heal really slowly, but it is faster if you use potions. And within Sker there is a lot of customizable options such as masks, voice lines, menu backgrounds, menu music, player icons. There is a lot you can customize. Although for me the player customization could be a bit better. You could maybe get clothing as well apart from just masks, but that's my opinion. And finally, Sker does have a subtle yet interesting story, which does make the player want to know more about the backstory of the game. So yeah, there is definitely a lot you can do in Sker and it is similar to COD Zombies in quite a lot of ways. It's also somewhat mixed elements of other games as well, but it is mainly a COD Zombies spin-off. And yes, Sker Ritual does even have a storyline as well. It's not as deep and complicated as COD Zombies, but there is still a small story. So basically, the year's 1914, Elizabeth Williams had conquered Sker Island, now seeking domination with a broadcast of the Siren song. Arian, I think is the name. Her daughter has opposed her, and after being mysteriously awakened, you must join her mission to thwart the broadcast and save the world from descending into hell. Basically, it's a continuation from the game Made of Sker, which is a horror game produced by the same company. You can even pick up notes in-game and read them at the menu screen to learn more about the story. Of course, each note is pretty subtle, so it isn't completely detailed. So, is Sker Ritual actually a COD Zombies killer, or is it a little bit overrated? Before we do answer that question, let's weigh the pros and cons. So one thing Sker Ritual does well is the game nails the creepy atmosphere that the old Zombies games had, especially in the first map. It doesn't do it as well as World at War and Black Ops 1, but it is noticeable. They even have old Zombies sounds as well, just like this. And the lore around each map is subtle to keep the player guessing. It takes everything old Zombies does and brings it to the modern Zombies. Another thing I like as well is the wonder weapons are designed around each map, meaning they are necessary to progress. It encourages players to use the weapons more, no matter how bad it is, and they're also a really strong boss killing weapon. Another thing I like about Sker Ritual as well is the 5-tier pack-a-punch system, and I know people will probably complain about this because I know most people don't like it, but me personally it balances the game out because unlike Cold War you can upgrade your weapons like really quickly, which makes Cold War really easy, not to mention you got the ray gun which can basically one-hit kill enemies, whereas with Sker Ritual it's locked off to higher difficulties due to the pricing. It's good because it provides more of a challenge in a good way, and it doesn't make the game too easy, which does give you at least a bit of a challenge, unlike Cold War where you can just sit in a corner, get to as high of a round as you can. And another thing I like about Sker Ritual, it's simple, straight to the point, it replicates the core features of COD Zombies, what made it good in the first place. There is no over-the-top setup quest or insane Easter egg steps, which means you don't end up having to run around the whole map trying to figure out what to do. You can just complete the Easter egg, and if you want to, you can even continue the game. And again, like I mentioned before, the game does feel difficult and challenging in a good way. It's quite refreshing from Cold War and Vanguard, where the ray gun can one-hit kill enemies like into the 50s. The enemies do hit harder the further you progress, the special enemies do make the game harder, and the pack-a-punch does make it so you're not that powerful, which is good, which is how the game should be. Another thing I like as well is the Sker Ritual Pass. It's available to all players, unlike greedy Activision's Battle Pass where they charge you stupid amounts of money. Sker Ritual's Pass is free and available to everyone, as it should be. Players can customise their character, can get new voice lines and more of the pass, which some people could argue that's not that great, but it is better than nothing. Another thing I like as well is Sker Ritual, it's not only a blend of Treyarch Zombies, but also COD World War II and Infinite Warfare Zombies. You can definitely see they took some things from those games, like the atmosphere from COD World War II. It was partially inspired by World War II Zombies, whereas drops like Infinite Ammo were taken from Infinite Warfare Zombies. And even with the wallbite, you can see a policeman in the middle, which reminds me of the Devil cards from Infinite Warfare. So some elements of the game were inspired by non-Treyarch titles, which is what I like. And finally, last but not least, the no perk limit. I think many people will like this. In most Zombies maps you're locked off to 4 perks, which means you can only really choose from 4 perks. It makes it difficult to consider which ones you actually want because you have to carefully consider each one. Whereas with Sker Ritual you can just buy every single one. There is only 5 in the actual game so far. I know they're thinking of adding more, but so far we only have 5. But it is good that we can carry all 5, that way we don't have to sacrifice one. And it's good, I quite like that system. It encourages people to use the perks more, instead of being limited to what they can and can't have. And now let's discuss some negatives. And one big thing I really don't like about Sker Ritual is leveling up the perks. I grilled Cold War Zombies for the same thing, and I'm going to basically do the same thing here. Leveling up the perks in Sker Ritual, it takes far too long. I just feel like there's too much grinding with Sker Ritual to level up the perks. You don't really earn that many points to upgrade it. And it's a bit annoying as well because you only start off with like 7%, whereas if you fully upgrade your perks you get like 80 or 70, and I just think that's a bit unfair. Like, they could add a little bit more. Another thing as well which I don't like about Sker Ritual, there's no perk jingles, which is bad because the players don't know the perks exist because it's not advertised like COD Zombies. I kid you not, the first time I played Sker Ritual I had no idea there was actually perks in the game because it wasn't told to me. So with that being said, let's play a game of Find the Perk. Did you find it? It was on the right hand side. And now let's do the same thing with COD. And just like that, you found the perk because there's a perk jingle that lets the player know where it is. Whereas with Sker Ritual, there's no perks, no advertisement or anything, you just basically walk past it. You only really find it if you look carefully at it. And another thing I don't like about Sker Ritual as well is the zombie and boss AI, they're a bit dumb. With the zombies AI, you can easily run around them and escape. You can basically run through a horde of them, they won't even do anything. Whereas with COD Zombies, when you get stuck in a corner, you know about it. Even the bosses got glitched for me. Like, for some reason, Abraham was just running around in circles. He was just completely stuck in the wall for some reason. And speaking of final bosses, the final bosses do feel like a bit of a pushover in this game. They don't really provide much of a challenge. Their attacks are really easy to dodge and can be defeated easily by standing at a distance. Take the Sewers of the Dead boss for example. I literally, kid you not, I defeated him in like under 3 minutes. Literally all I had to do was shoot, go downstairs, shoot the body, and then shoot him again. Like, it just... why? Like, the bosses, they just don't feel very rewarding, as the only thing you get is like a leave option. But there's nothing you actually gain from defeating the boss. And there's no end game reward or drop which makes you want to kill the boss in the first place. And another thing as well, the characters' voice lines, they feel completely out of place with the game's atmosphere. Most of the voice lines, they consist of whistling and weird one-line quotes.
Let's go! Sheesh.
Like, you see what I mean? It takes away the scary atmosphere the game's going for. It feels as though you're not meant to take the game so seriously, which is bad, because considering it is a horror game and based on COD Zombies, you should definitely be taking it seriously. And another big thing I don't like about Sker Ritual is the objectives. They just feel so repetitive. You just do the same things over and over again. Secure this, fill this up, solve this puzzle, escort this random guy who adds nothing to the actual game. It gets so repetitive to the point you can only play the map a number of times without being bored out of your mind. And not to mention the point system sucks as well in the game. You only get points for killing the actual zombie, not inflicting damage. Whereas COD Zombies gives you points for damaging enemies and more for killing them. So basically this makes things like leveling up the Pack-a-Punch tiers a lot more tedious, as it gives you so little points in return. You will basically struggle on high rounds unless you can get the half off drop, which basically gives you 50% off Pack-a-Punch and everything else. But apart from that, trying to rack up enough money to get to tier 4 is just a pain in the ass. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the story of the game. Sker Ritual, it doesn't have a bad story, but it feels like it ended a bit abruptly. It feels as though the other 3 maps didn't even matter, as all you did is shoot a boss and leave. The 4th map did at least provide like a good ending, like a bit of insight, and I feel like they might try and continue the story in the future anyways, but from what I've seen with the story, it just felt a bit abrupt, the ending, because the 4th map, Deadly Lover's Fortress, was supposed to be at the ending apparently, but it could just be a continuation. So after everything I've said, is Sker Ritual really a COD Zombies killer? In some ways yes, and in some ways no. Sker Ritual is a refreshing take on the COD Zombies franchise. If you look at Treyarch's past games, MW3 Zombies, Vanguard, Cold War, they weren't really the best as they were flawed in a lot of ways. Some people even argued COD Zombies died after Black Ops 3, whereas with Sker Ritual it somewhat brings you back to the good old days of COD Zombies, reminds you of like the old times, how it used to be so good. However, Sker Ritual is a far from perfect game. Some of the game's features are flawed, like the perk leveling system, the zombies and boss AI, characters' objectives. These are the only downsides of the game, but it can easily be fixable with like a small update. But apart from that, you can't really forget it also does like a lot of good things as well, such as the atmosphere, the wonder weapons, the game's formula, and even a free ritual pass, which is greatly appreciated. I could go on all day about the goods and the bads of the game, but if you ask me, Sker Ritual is a little overrated in my eyes. It is a good game, but the only reason why people like it is because COD Zombies has gone downhill. There's nothing really good for COD Zombies right now, which is why Sker Ritual is thriving so much. But what do you think? Do you think this game could beat COD Zombies? Do let me know in the comments below. But this is it from me. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more Sker Ritual content. Join the Discord if you're new, and I'll see you very soon.